wondered why it rains? It's not a simple question to answer, but let me try. Let's talk about water first. Water is a fantastic thing. It can be a liquid, like water. It can be a solid, like ice. It can be a gas, a water vapor that you can't see. So water can exist in at least 3 different forms: as a solid, as a liquid, and as a gas. Supposing you got a kettle and you fill this kettle with water. You've got your kettle and your spout, beautiful, and you fill it with water, and then you put fire underneath it. Very soon the water will boil. And what happens as soon as it starts to boil? Well, first you'll see little bubbles of gas at the bottom of the kettle or at the bottom of the pan, and they'll come to the top, and then it'll start to bubble. If you leave it on the fire for a long time, soon all the water will disappear, won't it? And that means that the liquid has changed into a gas. It's gone into water vapor. It's in the air. You can't see it anymore. Now, when this kettle boils, out of the spout here will come the gas. So first of all, you'll see gas, something like that. Now, if you look very closely, but be very careful now, because water vapor, water gas, the steam is very, very hot. So be careful, don't go too close to it. But if you look between the spout and the beginning of the cloud there, there's nothing, you can't see anything. But when the steam begins to cool down, you begin to see it like little clouds. Now that tells me one thing. It tells me that hot air, the air just here coming out of the spout, can contain more water vapor than cooler air. So let's remember that. Hot air can contain more water vapor, more gas, than cold air. So the gas that comes out of the spout here is very, very hot. You don't see the cloud. But when it goes away, you begin to see the little cloud forming because it's cooling down a little bit. And also, if you look, it's going up. So the second thing we have to remember is that hot air rises. So air that's hot can contain a lot more water vapor, and hot air rises. Now we'll get round to the rain business. Imagine that you're sitting outside. You're underneath a tree, a beautiful tree. It's a hot summer's day. You're sitting there having a good time in the shade. Just next to you is grass. Next to the grass, maybe there's a pond. After the pond, maybe there's a road with a black top. This sun is shining down fiercely. Here, it's not as hot as on the grass. The grass is not the same temperature as the water. The water is definitely not the same temperature as the cold road. So what happens? The air above the road, you can't see it, but that little package of air gets very hot. And hot air rises. So it goes up like that. As the air rises, it gets cooler. So when the air reaches a certain height, it gets so cool it can't hold the water vapor anymore, because hot air can hold more water vapor than cold air. So as it gets higher, it gets cooler, and it can't hold the water vapor. So you see a cloud, just as you could see a cloud when it was coming out of the spout. Now inside the cloud there are millions and millions of little drops of water. As those drops get bigger, they get heavier. They get bigger and heavier. And when they get heavier, they get too big for the cloud to hold. And so what happens? They start to fall and it starts to rain. That's a very simple explanation why it rains.